Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is the most highly anticipated video where I get to talk about Emily's birth, my little baby. So it's been a couple of months and I think I've been just adjusting to motherhood, and the C-section that I had and the recovery was just, it was hard. It is hard, you know. It's just been such a process. So I'm here to talk about it all, of the day that Emily was born, the whole C-section. I'm gonna show you pictures, and it might be a long video, so grab some tea like me on this cold day and let's chat. It is actually sunset right now, that's why you see like this whole glowy color over here. But baby is sleeping. I have Daniel downstairs just in case she wakes up. So it is the perfect time where I can just talk for a little while. What is it that happened? And document the whole process. So let's go back to October 31st, which is the day right before Emily was born. And it was Halloween. I came home from work, which I did work up to the day before. I came home from work and I took my last pictures of how I looked. So check this out. So yeah, here we go. 39 weeks and baby coming tomorrow. So I was so excited that Emily was coming, and I had done blood work 2 days before. This is just in case something happens during the C-section, that they have your correct blood type and everything, just in case something goes wrong in the C-section. And then they also tell you to wear particular wristbands, and you have to do a special type of washing for your abdomen area, which is... Good morning. It is bright and early, and it is November 1st, 2019. On our way to the hospital for little Emily to come and join us today. So we're running a little bit late, but that's just how we go. We're Spanish, so what time is it? It's 7:15. We're supposed to be there at 7, so we're a little bit late. But we're like 2 minutes away, so not too bad. And they're gonna check us in, and the C-section is set for 9:30 a.m. Yeah, so things are gonna go fast. Okay, we are here.
Are you gonna walk or are you gonna park?
We can walk. So when we got there, they gave us our labels for our hands, our wrists, and they told us go ahead upstairs. They took us straight into the preparation room, so not a delivery room, and not like the stay after you've given birth. This is like a preparation room. So it was a huge room, and it was just covered by curtains, kind of like an ER room. And there was another couple there, and they had already had their baby, so they had their baby just born. And they told me right away, like, I got there early thinking I was gonna do a little dance, record it, put it on Instagram. There was like no time. Maybe because I got there late too, but I just had to like take off all my clothes, put on one of those gowns with the opening towards the back, and get into bed. They hooked me up with IVs already, ready to go, and the heart rate monitors, and the monitor that was checking the baby's heart rate and also for contractions. And I kept on feeling something like right here, right there, like right at the top. And I was like, oh my God. And it was the baby's head. Because if you haven't seen my prior videos, my baby was breeched pretty much from week 20 forward. She never moved. She always had her head on top. And that's the reason that we had to have the C-section. She never turned into place. So I kept on feeling like these tension up here, and I was like, and my doctor walked in, and I told her, I was like, I feel squeezing, like I feel something wrong with her. My doctor started looking at the charts, the screens, and she notices like, you're having contractions. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm having contractions. No wonder I felt it. She like, usually what you feel is at the bottom, your uterus contracting around the head, but since her head was up here, I was feeling my uterus contract on top instead. I was like, oh my goodness. So she's like, no matter what, November 1st would have been her birthday. So that's just so crazy. Like, it would have been her birthday regardless. So during this time, Daniel was always right next to me. They had a chair right there, and he was just able to be there. The two of us. They gave him a gown. They said, go ahead and try on your gown, put it on. You're gonna be in the operation room with me. And they only allowed one person to be in the operation room. And my mother, she really wanted to be there. So I told my mom, my C-section's at 9 o'clock. You have to be there before. And it was like 8:45. My mom was still not there. Like, oh my God, I need to see my mom just in case. Oh my gosh, here comes the waterworks. These hormones are just too much. That's another thing about postpartum. They're just everywhere. Just in case something happened to me, I just really wanted to see her. I mean, nothing happened obviously, but just thinking about it. Anyways, I really wanted to see her. I really wanted my mom to get there. And finally, my mom shows up, but she wasn't allowed to come into that little preparation room because they only allowed one person. So I asked if Daniel could step out, and then they switched with my mom. Give me a second. Okay. So he ended up switching with Daniel, so my mom could come in. She saw me, and pretty much right away, like after my mom had came in, she sat down just for a second. I told her I was having contractions, but I felt okay. They were like, okay, get up. They didn't even roll me in. They didn't even put me in a wheelchair. They were like, get up, you're walking to the operation room. I was like, oh. So I said goodbye to my mom, and Daniel came right behind me, and we headed over. It was just like maybe 200 steps away, maybe even less. The operation room was like the room next door. And right at the door, my midwife, she tells me, okay, let's take your last picture. So it's like, oh, a picture. And she's like, okay, smile, here we go. And I look humongous. She took our last picture of the two of us, and Emily was coming. Oh, here they come again. Alright, so she took our last picture, and after that, she was like, okay, Daniel, you have to stay here. And there was this small window, which, take a look at this window. This is where Daniel stood, waiting for all the preparations to go inside. So they were going to give me the epidural. So of course I wouldn't feel a C-section, and during that time everything needed to be super calm, no distractions. So Daniel had to wait outside until they were ready to pretty much start cutting, and then Daniel can come in. So I remember, let's see, like I was sitting on the table, and my midwife gave me this really big pillow to hold. So it was like right here, and I was just holding it like that. And my midwife, she comes and she stands directly in front of me, and she puts her hands, so her body's here, she puts her hands like up to here and holds it like that, like holding all of my arms, and I'm like holding the pillow. And I'm like, how bad could this be for her to be holding me? She was holding me so tight too. All I could do was I had to bend my neck and kind of like lean forward. And once in a while, I would look up, and Daniel's, the little window was directly over there. Pretty much, they were putting in the epidural, and they had to get the nerve. And the correct way that they had told me was that I had to feel it pretty much on my buttocks, like on my lower back butt. So they kept on trying to put the epidural in. They got the right side, they couldn't get the left. So yeah, they tried a few times, and it did hurt. It was, I mean, it was painful in compared to the whole recovery that's coming up, but it was definitely uncomfortable. You know, it was like somebody giving you a shot multiple times because he couldn't get the nerve correctly. So eventually he got it. I could actually feel the sting, and right away they picked up my feet and they put it onto the operation table. I just remember after that I got so cold, and the nurse came and she put a blanket over me, and I started shivering, and it started off with very little shivers, like you know how you get cold, and it started with the teeth, and then all of a sudden, by the time Daniel came in, which I'll get to, my whole body was just shaking and shaking. But I'm going ahead of myself. So after that, they got into position. I had my C-section doctor, Dr. Chizanko, and my midwife, Dr. Lori Gibbons, and they were both standing on the side of me, and they put up the C-section curtain, and they went at it. So all I could, I remember not feeling anything, but I could smell, and I could smell it was like kind of like when you burn hair or you burn skin. It was like, oh, it was horrible. I did not like it whatsoever. Daniel was inside when they started cutting. When they started prepping me, I guess getting the whole area ready, they taped me down, they cleaned me and stuff. All of that, Daniel's not there. When they started cutting, I remember that Daniel was there because I took this picture of me. And that's when I was feeling everything. Anyway, so I remember I was just laying there because they opened up my arms, and I was kind of like in Jesus positions with my left arm. I had all the IVs, and the right one was just there. So at that point, Daniel came in and they had a little stool, and he just pretty much was right here. When they started taking out the baby, I just felt my whole body was just like moving. Like I couldn't obviously feel it, but I felt like a raccoon was inside of me, and it was just going crazy inside. It was just moving back and forth until Emily came out. But before that, so once they opened me and they saw the baby, I guess she really must have been butt down, because as soon as they opened her, they saw her private part and they were like, it's definitely a girl. And then poor thing, she must have been scared because she pooped right there. She's like, oh my gosh, she just gave us the welcome, she pooped in your uterus. I'm like, oh my gosh, my baby already pooped. So from here forward, I'm gonna be putting pictures because it got to the point where they were going to pull out Emily. So at this point, they allowed Daniel to stand, for his eyesight to be over the curtain. So he was allowed to stand, take out his phone, and start documenting like crazy. They did not allow videos, and there was actually a nurse watching pretty much the whole time. But he was allowed to take as many pictures as possible. So as they pulled her up, I personally could not see anything. All they did was they pulled the curtain down, and what they did was they showed me Emily, and she was just like body fluids on her, and I saw her. I saw that she wasn't crying yet, but I just saw, that she was good. I felt weak at that point, and they just took her away. And all I told Daniel was like, go with the baby. And it's not like they took her to another room. It was like 20 feet, maybe less, 10 feet away. They had like this little area where they were going to weigh her, take her footprints, and clean her up, put her in the little blanket, and bring it back to me. So I was like, just go be with the baby. So he went, he cut the umbilical cord and was watching like how much she weighs and stuff. So they wrapped her up. She finally had like a little hat, and they brought her over to me. So this is like the first time that I really get to see her. She still had like amniotic fluids on her and stuff, but they put her on me, and immediately, like, I didn't even get a chance to like look at her little face or something. They like, my midwife and the nurse, they like pulled down like all of my gown and brought up my boob, and they were just like trying to latch her. So I was talking about the crying. So she didn't cry right away. It wasn't until she was getting weight and stuff that she started crying, and they were like, oh, there's her crying. I guess they must have cleaned her up. and she started crying. And from there, Emily did not stop crying for a long time. I remember, I'll come back, but I remember they left the room and she was still crying. I honestly think they must have given her formula when they took her to the pediatrician room, because when I got out, she was quiet. Anyways, so I'm going ahead of myself. So they tried to latch her on. She would not latch. She would not latch at all. I mean, they were trying. They were moving my boob. They were moving her. She would try. It got to a point where they put her chest to chest. She was still crying, and they had to finish, cleaning me up and sewing me back in. They were going to take Emily away so she can go to the nursery, the pediatrician area, and get reviewed. And I said, Daniel, just go with her, be with her, follow, so just go. So he went carrying her to the pediatrician rooms. I stayed with my midwife and my surgeon, Dr. Shisenko, and we were just there. They were talking to me. I was freezing, and all of this part here is really, really a blur. I know I was awake, but I was just, I don't know, like, even though I didn't push, I was weak. I felt super tired, and it really, really is a blur. Like, I can't even remember too much. I just know that they finished and they covered me and they rolled me away back to the preparation room, and all of this must have been maybe 15 minutes max. They rolled me into the preparation room where we started, and I was laying down, and when I got there, Daniel was already there. So, and he was holding the baby in his hands, and the baby was quiet. She was sleeping. So that's why I think maybe they gave her formula, because how else would she have gotten to sleep? I don't know. Nobody ever told me, but I just think that. I was really, really, really out of it. I don't know how long I was in that room. I believe I fell asleep, according to Daniel. And he was just holding the baby the whole time. And I really wanted to see my mom when I woke up, but she wasn't allowed inside. She was saying that she was already waiting in my regular room where I was going to stay. So once the doctor came and she saw me and I was okay, I was conscious and everything, they were like, okay, you can go to your room. So they rolled me over to that room, and they put Emily in also a clear rolly, I don't know, crib, and they took her. So Daniel and the nurse were right in front, and I was laying down following them. And I could see my mom. It was a very long hallway, and I could see my mom at the very end, and they had given us the last room. And I could see my mom at the very end, and I see my mom, and she didn't even come to see me. She went to see the baby, of course. So she saw the baby, and they brought them inside. So now we're all inside of the main room. And they had to transfer me over to the main bed. That was tough. They pretty much picked me up with the sheets. A few of the nurses did it. I don't know how, but it did hurt a little bit, but I was able to get comfortable and just pretty much lay down. And by then, my mom wanted to see the baby, and I know I wanted to see the baby. I still, at that point, had not really seen her little face. When she was born, she was full of amniotic fluids, and then when they put her on me, she was on my breast, so I really couldn't see her little face, and I just really wanted to get up and see her. That's all I wanted. What I was actually able to do was use the controls on my bed and pick myself up a little bit, which hurt so much, and able to just look over and see the baby. To hold Emily for the real first time without any pressure. It was a beautiful experience. It really was. It was very overwhelming. I remember that she was on me, and I I just wanted to be such a good mom and have her just comfortable and safe and everything's okay. That if she did like very little, you know, like, I'm learning now, okay, everything's okay. But you know, it's like the first time actually holding my baby, I'm like, you know, trying to comfort her and stuff. But I think things would have been a lot better if I wasn't recovering from a C-section. It made things really, really hard, especially in the beginning. I give 110% thanks to Daniel because he was such a good daddy. Oh, here they come again. He was such a good daddy during this whole process. Like, he not only took care of me, he took care of the baby 100%. You know, all of her comforts, all of her diapers, her changing, the swaddling, everything. He took care of her. He was so good. But pretty much, the recovery for the C-section was definitely tough. What they don't tell you that they actually have to do is all that blood that usually comes out with childbirth, it still needs to come out. I guess with childbirth, with labor, I mean, it still needs to come out. So my uterus had to like contract, like, you know, like become smaller, and they would come in like every 2 or 3 hours, and they were like literally just put towels under me and squeeze down on my uterus, and then like pretty much I would get like if you had like a really bad period, like kind of squirts of blood, and they would clean all that up, and then all of that would hurt so bad. So after that, so I had Emily at exactly 10 a.m. She was born 10 on the dot, and they told me in 6 hours you have to get up. And I was like, 6 hours? So there came 4 o'clock, and they were like, these nurses of my hospital, they were on the dot with my medication and everything, and I was trying to be on as least medication as possible. I'll tell you something that happened. Just because I didn't want that medication like really inside of me. In the very beginning, the first day, I did have the Percocets, just because the pain was really bad. And then when I was laying down, it wasn't too bad, but if I try to move, if I try to adjust myself for Emily, any of that stuff, it would hurt. So they told me in 6 hours you need to get up. So 4 p.m. they came and they were like, all right, time to get up. And I was like, I just thought like everything was just gonna fall out. It was just like impossible. And I think the hardest step was like going from the laying position to like the sitting position. Oh my god, I feel like I've never had abs in my entire life. It was so bad. And then once I had my feet on the ground, I was able to put my body weight on my feet and then pretty much just like slide. And all I did was walk like from here to here. And right next to me was a reclining, kind of like one of these, a reclining rocker. And I was able to sit there and just for a little while. So that was my getting up, and I had to walk back to the bed. And then in 12 hours, I had to pee already. So I had to go and pee on my own. So at 10 p.m., I remember I was sleeping, and these nurses came in and pretty much woke me up because it was time to take out my catheter, my urine packet. So they took it off, which they said that was going to hurt. It didn't. It felt like, honestly, like if I was taking off a tampon, like that. So they did that, and after that, they were like, okay, you need to walk to the bathroom. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so I finally made it sliding to the bathroom, and to sit on the toilet, oh my god, it was bad. And then once I was sitting there, it's like I literally had to retrain my body mentally how to pee again. It was crazy. it's like peeing is just something so natural. You just go to the toilet and you let go of your bladder, you know? And I just sat there and she was like, do you need time? And I was like, no. And there wasn't even a sink. Like, our bathroom was just the toilet. The sink was actually in the outside. And she was like, I was like, I don't know. Like, so I was like, maybe I need like some waterworks. So she turned on the sink. That helped. And then I was finally able to like release. And when I released, I had to pee like forever. After that, that's it. Like, I had to, since that was 10 p.m., every time I had to go to the bathroom after that, I could call her. She would help me go to the bathroom. Like, day 2, I had to be pretty much walking around. And just... Hey guys, so today is day 2. It's been approximately like 25 hours since Emily was born, and there's so much that happened yesterday, but it was a pretty hectic day yesterday to record anything. A lot of pain, a lot of discomfort, and then also getting the baby to latch. So it was just a lot to record yesterday, but today I am feeling a lot better. During the night I got up for the first time to pee, and I've been walking around the room. I cleaned myself up a little bit, put on some new clothes, and they just gave Emily her first little wash bath. So they wait 24 hours before doing that, and she's cuddling up against Papa. So let's go meet her. So here we go. I know we're going. She's cuddling up against Daddy. Oh, it's so dark over here. But yeah, she's in her little dino PJs and her hat. And the proud Papa. So far we've been keeping things pretty private. Just our close friends and our family has seen pictures and been able to congratulate us on the baby. Haven't posted anything on social media or anywhere else to announce the baby, but now that things are relaxing today, and she took a little towel bath, a wash towel bath. She's looking even cuter than yesterday because she had a lot of the Vernidex. Is it called Vernidex? That little white goo that they come out. She's had it all over her hair and her body. And our hospital does 24 hours no shower bath, just for the baby to acclimatize, get warm, not get sick. So now she's looking super cute, and maybe we'll take a picture and announce her full name and her weight and everything. Welcome her to the world. After that, I was like, okay. So she was like, if you need to get out of here, oh no, wait a second, we're missing something. Food. So Emily was born November 1st. I wasn't allowed to eat the night before. So the night before I didn't eat. All of November 1st, I didn't eat anything. Right? Even after I had come out, they said, unless you can do a fart, you are not allowed to have any solids. So that night they brought me broth, juice, and water. I think they brought me ginger ale too. I think so. It was just liquids. That's all they brought me. That's all I could eat. So when I woke up in the morning, the nurse had come in. She was like, have you, passed gas? And I was like, no, I haven't passed gas yet. I'm like, generally, I'm not a big farter. So all of a sudden, I had to force my body to do one. I was like, this is really tough. I was like, I haven't passed gas. So she was so sweet, and she knew I was so hungry. She's like, I'm gonna order you some breakfast anyway. When that breakfast came, oh my goodness, I was so hungry. I ate it like it was like the best thing in the world. There was oatmeal and pancakes and fruits, and I ate it all of it. Anyways, so day 2, I had to be walking up and down the hallways already. walking everywhere, attend to the baby. There was one thing that second night that happened. So they would come in every 4 hours, the nurses, to check on the baby and also to check on me, how I was doing, and to give me my medication. There was 4 medications they were giving me. There was ibuprofen, Percocet. Percocet was only if I required it, if I was in a lot of pain. A stool softener so I can go to the bathroom, and one to pass gas. After I had done my very first little, I was like, okay, I passed gas, I'm good, right? So I stopped taking the passing gas one. That night, I remember Emily was sleeping, Daniel was sleeping. So they gave Daniel a different bed, as you saw in the video. It's like meant for 2 people, but it's actually for 1 family. So that was Daniel's bed. Daniel was sleeping, and he was so deep sleeping, and I didn't want to wake up the baby. I started shivering so badly, and usually the beds have like a little remote, and my remote was like on the side table, and I couldn't reach for it. And I just remember that I was just shivering, and it got to the point where my legs were like bouncing off the table, and like I was almost sliding off the bed. It was just the worst shiver, shakes, trembles in my entire life, until I had to pretty much scream, and Daniel came running, and he didn't even know what to do. So he tried to adjust me because I was falling off the bed. He tried to adjust me, and when I turned, or when he turned me, I don't remember exactly, I let out a gas. And guess what? The trembling stopped. So, lesson learned, take your damn gas pills. I guess my body couldn't process yet the gas that I had to release, and that's the way that it reacted. It was the craziest feeling ever. Definitely. So I had Emily on a Friday. By Sunday, my doctor said that I could go home. So Sunday night, I wanted to take the time and introduce you to a little special someone. This is Emily. Hey, baby. So she was born on November 1st, so Friday. And we've just been enjoying every second with her. But the C-section recovery was definitely tough. I would say that after week 3, it got better as in mobility, because getting up from bed at the hospital, it was easy because I had the little bars that were here, so I would put all of my weight on the bars and then lift myself up. But at home, I had no bars. I had to use all of my abs, so I would turn to my side and put pressure there, pick myself up, and kind of slide off the bed. And to sit down on the sofa, everything was hard. Everything was really, really hard. And still, like, to work out, I feel like I'm starting from 0. I can't do push-ups, I can't do a plank, I can't do crunches, I'm out of breath. Emily's awake. Alright, so let's cut this short. I have to go attend to my baby. But other than that, other than the C-section recovery, Emily has been such a beautiful blessing. I am so in love with her. I'm loving every bit of it. I thought having a daughter or a child would be amazing, and it's way beyond that. It's everything I could have dreamed of and so much more. So I can't wait to share more with you. Christmas vlog coming up right next. See you. Bye bye.